Okay, everybody, this is Rabbi Noah Tile. We are back with our series on awakening the Jewish spirit, following the signs. Part 4. So we've been discussing anti-Semitism, its spiritual origins, its history a little bit. We've talked about the pain that we've been feeling present and past based on this experience of anti-Semitism. We've talked about the importance of keeping hope. And now we're going to take that hope a step further and start to continue to build on the positive responses to this anti-Semitism. And that's increasing our Jewish connection and our Jewish identity. So the areas that we're now going to cover are standing out, loving, giving, and uniting. So let's jump into it. It's very easy in this moment in time, whether in Israel or anywhere else, to decide that we don't want to stand out, that we want to hide. We don't want to be visible as Jews. This is a very normal response. But we just have to go back to the first Jew to know that's just not how it works. That's just not what we're supposed to do here in this world. Of course, we have to be safe and careful. And if, God forbid, there's a threat or a situation where, for example, I couldn't wear my kippah or something like that, I wouldn't do it. Of course, life and safety is important, but there is a crucial need to remain a person who's proud of being Jewish, not just deciding to assimilate and hide, but still standing out. And it's all in the name of the first Jew, if we can call it that, if we can call him that. Avraham HaIvri. Avram was not called Yisrael, of course, because that was his grandson's second name, Yaakov's second name. And he wasn't called the Jew, Yehuda, one of the 12 tribes, one of the 12 sons of Jacob, and who we are now known as the Jews, Yehudim. He was the Ivri, the Hebrew, the third name that is often used to describe the Jewish people. What does it really mean? So let's go to a midrash to understand a bit better on what this word really means. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Kol ha'olam kulo me'ever achad, v'hu me'ever achad. So what is this word Ivri? That the whole world's on one side of the river, and he, Avraham, was on the other side of the river. This is the quintessential meaning of being Jewish. We are who we are. We're small in number. Everybody else is doing their own thing, but we are doing our thing. And we don't hide. We don't try to mix in and cross the river to the other side. We stay who we are. We stay Ivrim. That was Avraham standing up in a world of lies, in a world of multiple gods. Avraham stood and stayed with who he was and what he was about. So that first one is stand tall and proud. Second is to love life, to really, really love life. We see this theme shared all throughout the speeches of Moshe in the final book of the Torah. The importance of what we say, Uvacharta b'chaim, le'ma'an tichye ata v'zar'acha. So you have a choice. Hashem says, I call witness today for everybody to look. You have a choice between life or, God forbid, death. Choose life. Choose life, not just so that you can live, but that you and your children after you live. There is this sustainability when we make an active decision to live a life of chaim, not just to be alive, but a life of chaim, of chiyus, of energy, of doing good and living good, and passing that on as an infectious energy of being Jewish. Choose love of Hashem. We say in the Shema, "Ve'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha b'chol levavecha v'chol nafshecha v'chol meodecha." Love Hashem with all of your heart, all of your soul, all of your resources, all of what you have in this world. Love Hashem, love life. Ve'ahavta l're'echa kamocha. As we famously say, love your neighbor like yourself. Love people, love Hashem, love life. That's your response. Choose life, and not only choose life, but love life. Really love it. And so much of Jewish tradition is about figuring out how to love life. And another one that's crucial in that loving life is giving thanks. It's another one of the names of being Jewish. We have Ivri, which we mentioned. Now we have Yehuda. Yehuda is Judah, the son of Jacob. And when Leah is naming Judah, this is what she says. Hapa'am odeas Hashem al ken krashmo Yehuda. After a few children, Leah decides, this one, I'm going to just say, thank you, Hashem. There were other reasons for other names, but I got to get to this point where I just say, wow, thank you, Hashem. That's literally what the name of being Jewish is. Yehudi, I will give thanks. Yud being the future tense. I will give thanks. That's what being a Jew is. And all of our brachot, everything that we do, so much in our day-to-day lives is about sanctifying through thankfulness. And then lastly, I had to add this one in. It wasn't there originally. That may as well go to the third name. The name Yisrael, Israel, can also mean Shir El, which is the song of God. We have to have songs of praise and love of life on our lips. This is a major part of the advice of King David in his composing of the Tehillim, the Psalms of David, which, by the way, I learned from Rabbi Soloveitchik, a great quote about the Tehillim, that because of Tehillim, we actually know that human beings had emotions and feelings just like we do now, because 2,900 years ago, King David was expressing the deepest depths of human emotion. And because we have that evidence, we know that people felt the way that we do back then. What does he say? Hodu Lashem ki tov. Giving thanks to Hashem, this is good. This is good. Thanks to Hashem, this is the tov. This is the good of life. Kol neshamat hallelujah. Every soul should praise Hashem. And in Hebrew, the word for neshama, soul, is also the word for neshima, breath. With every breath, I'm going to praise Hashem. And this goes back all the way to the Garden of Eden, when Hashem, one of the first things Hashem does in the creation of the Adam Harishon, the first primordial human, is the Yitzhar Hashem Elokim et Adam ha'afar min Adama. He makes him from the dust of the earth. Vayipach be'apav nishmas chaim. He breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. V'yer hadan lenefesh chaya. And human beings become alive through the breathing into the nostrils from Hashem. You know, we talked today a little bit in meditative practices, both in Jewish and non. You know, people are very into breathing as a spiritual practice today. And I think one way to really enhance that is this imagery from Genesis, that every breath we breathe in from our nostrils is actually coming from Hashem. Hashem is sustaining us in every breath, and the nostril itself, this area is where the neshama comes into the body, neshima, the breath coming into us. And we can feel the gift of each breath. Hodu l'Hashem ki tov. Hashem is good. We also need to stay united. Past divisions are for the past. The second temple we know is famously destroyed because of sinat chinam, baseless hatred. We know that Temple 1 was rebuilt, which means whatever sins were going on, there was a tikkun, there was a fixing from first temple. But the second temple has not been rebuilt yet. And we learn, many people talk about that, that's because we're still in our sinat chinam. We still are divided. We're still having a sense of hatred for our fellow humanity, our fellow Jewish people. Number 2, Hashnaim lo asu tshuva. We have not yet done tshuva. And that's why it says later on, Kol dor she'eno nivneh v'yamav ma'alin alav ki'ilu hu hecharivo. Every generation that has not built the temple, that was destroyed because of the sinat chinam, the baseless hatred, it's on them. It's as if they had destroyed it themselves, because we haven't fixed that original divisive energy in the Jewish people. So we need to stay united. It's very, very, very important to stay united. Why? Umikem cha Yisrael goy echad ba'aretz. It says in the book Divrei Hayamim, who is like the people of Israel when they are one on earth? Goy echad, we are one nation. Why? Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem echad. We know we say it every day, twice a day, that Hashem is one. And because we are with the one God, the one creator, Hashem echad, we need to be goy echad, not divided. We need to be one under Hashem. And this leads us to a discussion of peace, which is so important. This unity, this shalom, this wholeness between the Jewish people is so important that even if, God forbid, they're engaged in avodat kochavim, idol worship, but there's shalom beinehem, there's peace among them, Hashem says he can't do anything about that. He can't touch them. They're invincible in that sense because they have peace among them. There's such a strength in unity of purpose when we're one, when we're shalom with each other. And it makes sense because there are united forces right now that seek our destruction, regardless of our divisions. Hitler, Yamach Shemo, didn't care who we were as long as we were Jewish. We must become one and united regardless of our own differences. So it's so important to maintain that unity. And lastly, we need to learn to be givers. We really need to be Mesirat Nefesh, as we'll get into, to be fighting for our people in that state of love, of life, of Hashem, of the Jewish people, of being united, of being a people of peace together. We need to be givers. This is why it talks about this is why the Or HaChaim, famous commentator on the Chumash, on the words Rav va'atzum, Paro says they're greater and more numerous. What does the Or HaChaim bring down in this discussion here? What makes us Am Echad v'Meyuchad? What makes us a united people so deeply that we're going to be looked in the eyes of the pharaohs of the world as Rav va'atzum? What makes us so strong? Of course, we need our army. Of course, we need everything practically. But you know what makes us strong? You know what makes us really strong? When we're kol echad notein nafsho el achiv, when each one of the people of Israel is sacrificing themselves for their other fellow Jew. This is what makes us so strong and so mighty. And on my trip to Israel, that is exactly what I saw. The amount of people putting themselves on the line for others in a complete moment of devotion, self-sacrifice. They're tapping into a part of the spirit that is giving. We need to be warriors of giving. It says in the Mishnah, Ezehu Gibor, who's a warrior? Who's a warrior? Hakovesh es Yitzro, someone who conquers their evil inclination, their Yetzer. Well, it does say Yitzro, which means inclination, but we know it's referring to the Yetzer Hara. And as the Bala Sulam discusses, one of the great Kabbalists of the 20th century, what is the Yetzer Hara? What is the Yetzer Hara? Well, let's just look at this. Yetzer, formation, Hara, evil, the desire to create evil. And what is a Reshe Tevot? An acronym for the word Ra. Resh is Ratzon, desire. Ayin is Atzmi, for myself. The Yetzer Hara, the part of the Yetzer Hara that's so destructive, the desire for evil, is the desire to lekabel, to receive for ourselves alone. Instead, we need to be what he calls hashpa'ah, giving, and mesirat nefesh, self-sacrificing. We need to be people that take the response that we need to have to what this experience of being Jewish is in this moment in time, is everything that we've just outlined. It is staying united. It is loving life, sanctifying life, giving thanks. It is being willing to stand out and to stand up. But what's this all for? All these things that we've just been discussing about. What is the response that's going to culminate all of the things that we've just talked about on the positive side of this? This is what we're going to get to next time. This latest mutation of anti-Semitism, the Hamas, Hezbollah, Iran, this level of it. What is the response that culminates everything that we've just talked about? So stay tuned for next week. But for now, be a visible Jew in your own way, deepening your love and appreciation for being a Jew, avoiding conflict, finding unity, and giving more. These are all things that we can do. And we're going to get more and more specific on next steps.